We got a full slate on this Tuesday around the diamond in Major League Baseball, and we break it down here on the early line. He is Donnie, I am Ben. We start tonight in Philadelphia with the Phils, a minus 168 home money line favorite, trying to win 2 straight against the Milwaukee Brewers. Over under at 8.5. Yesterday, of course, David Dahl in his Philly debut, a home run and another run scored as the Phils spoiled the return of Rhys Hoskins despite his solo shot as well with a 3-1 victory. What do you anticipate tonight, DRS, in game number 2 of this midweek set?
Yeah, odds predicted as well, as I think it's another Philadelphia Phillies victory. They have the better starting pitcher on the mound tonight, and that should play out. Sanchez has been very good. But let's also take a look at what we're going to see out of the Milwaukee Brewers. Looks like Koenig's going to be the opener tonight because I'm looking at his statistics throughout the Major League Baseball season. Typically been going anywhere between 2/3 of an inning to 1 2/3 of an inning here. So he'll open up as the left-hander here to try to take care of Kyle Schwarber and also Bryce Harper right out of the gate. Then he should give way to Colin Ray, who has really struggled with left-handed batters, as a right-handed pitcher. So that does make some sense. So if you're focused on Colin Ray, who is a right-handed pitcher, 255 ISO, 395 weighted on base percentage over his last month in Major League Baseball against lefties. Why is that going to be an issue? Kyle Schwarber against right-handed pitching over the past month, 219 ISO, 447 weighted on base percentage. Bryce Harper, 263 ISO and a 349 weighted on base percentage. Also, some other guys in the lineup, Nick Castellanos and Edmundo Sosa, very good numbers against right-handed pitching over the past month. Phillies should be able to win this ball game tonight. You're just going to have to wait it out maybe in that first inning until the opener clears and you get to Colin Ray.
3 games set between these two, so one more game tomorrow. Off day for Milwaukee on Thursday. Believe the same for Philadelphia. Now we go to Houston. Where is the fork? The Astros, nearly $1.50 favorite tonight as they host the St. Louis Cardinals for the second game of this midweek set. Over-under is 9. Spencer Arrighetti was not necessarily the most stellar starter for Houston to begin this year, but as of late has been better for the Stros. Is it 2 straight victories for Houston tonight in H-Town?
Yeah, taking a look at some of the numbers here. Palante should be the starter. Not a lot here on the Major League Baseball season. Only 71 batters he's faced in the past 30 days, only 22. But of those 22, how about this? Combining for a lefty and righty split here, a 0 ISO and a 215 weighted on base percentage. That should help you out. Why? Because the middle of that lineup here is juicy for the Houston Astros. Kyle Tucker, Jordan Alvarez, and Alec Bregman. Now, keep an eye tonight. Kyle Tucker, one of the hottest hitters in Major League Baseball, yesterday in his first appearance, got a base hit. In his second appearance, fouled a ball off his leg and had to leave the ball game because he's had 76 at-bats against right-handed pitching over the past 30 days with a 559 ISO and a 563 weighted on base percentage. Some other guys really hitting right-handed pitching in that lineup is Jordan Alvarez, 279 ISO power number, and Alex Bregman at a 324 over the past month. You flip it over to St. Louis, you take a look at Spencer Arrighetti, who's been much better as he was to start the Major League Baseball season. Get a couple guys in the middle of that lineup here hitting right-handed pitching fairly well for the Cardinals, and that's Burleson, Goldschmidt, and Gorman. If you're looking for RBI props, those guys should be on your card, as well as the middle of the lineup for the Houston Astros tonight. But that price point here, I don't know if I want to pay that for the Houston Astros here, so we'll just go with some runs. How about that?
TBD for Toronto as well, who the starter is tonight for the Blue Jays, hosting the Orioles for a second consecutive day. But we know who is starting for Baltimore. That's Corbin Burns on the bump in the O's. A road favorite in the 6 once again. Minus 168. Total is 8.5. Baltimore victorious yesterday, 7-2 in a big way behind 2 home runs from Austin Hayes against the Jays. What do we see here in day number 2 in Toronto?
Yeah, always tough to handicap against a pitcher you're not sure is going to be on the mound, but early indicators show Bowden Francis, 68 batters on the season, a 250 ISO and a 405 weighted on base percentage, but nothing over the past 30 days in Major League Baseball. And you take a look at that lineup here. If you have an iffy pitcher on the mound going up against the Orioles, it usually doesn't work out in your favor. But I'll tell you what usually doesn't work out in your favor, even more than that, it's when an ace is on the mound facing your team, which is Corbin Burns, who's been absolutely electric over the past 30 days and also throughout the entirety of the Major League Baseball season. Looks like we're going to get a victory here for the Orioles.
Yeah, so as we keep it rolling around Major League Baseball, a battle for the top of the American League Central. Yes, you heard that right. Tonight in Cleveland, it's the Guardians and the Royals. Minus 120 for Cleveland as a slight home favorite. But then you have Seth Lugo on the other side for KC, with the Royals booked as an underdog. What happens here between the two best teams in the AL Central?
Yeah, Royals booked as an underdog, but more of an underplay for me. Tristan McKenzie, who's one of those guys which has a terrible xFIP minus numbers, should be able to get hit around. He's been escaping those. And if you take a look at a game against right-handed batters, through we faced 68 of them over the past 30 days, that number's high. It's a 236 weighted on base, 236 ISO and a 348 weighted on base percentage. You know who you're looking at from the right side here tonight. It's going to be Bobby Witt Jr., 227 ISO power number. Let's flip it over to the other side. Seth Lugo has been absolutely incredible for the Kansas City Royals. Last 30 days, a 119 ISO, weighted on base percentage of 263. Just to put that in a capsule of this entire season, 313 batters, a 121 ISO, and a weighted on base percentage of 266. This isn't just a pitcher getting hot over the past couple starts. He's been fantastic over the first couple months of the season. Now, taking a look at right-handed pitchers going up against the Cleveland Guardians, who have a very good record and also a very good track record of hitting right-handed pitchers, particularly over the last 30 days. Look at the middle of this lineup: Ramirez, Naylor, and Fry. 439, 328, and 207 ISO power numbers consecutively there. That's probably where your power source is going to come from. But having said that, after looking at both of these lineups, both of these pitchers, I probably still would lean to the under between this game and the Guardians and the Royals.
Really makes sense. 9-1, the record this year for Seth Lugo. The ERA is 1.72. Second best ERA at this moment for qualified starters in Major League Baseball. Those 9 wins tied for the most in the bigs as well. He's made 12 starts this year for KC. The Royals 9-3 in those 12 games. I do love a plus money price when Seth Lugo is on the bump for Kansas City. When this certain starter was on the bump up in the Bronx, it used to be our favorite day here on the early line. Now it's just another Tuesday. Luis Gil gets the start for the Yankees. He has been sensational this season in his debut year for the Pinstripes. They're a minus 180 favorite against the Minnesota Twins. Total at 8 tonight inside Yankee Stadium. Longest active win streak currently in the bigs. That belongs to the Yankees. 5 in a row. Will it be 6 straight in the 43rd win of the year for New York?
I think it should be 6 straight. And also, you take a look at some of those guys in the Yankee lineup. And Ben, maybe when you were running around middle school yelling, "Crank that Soldier Boy," woo! There are 2 guys in the lineup today for the New York Yankees you are not going to want to miss, because Bailey Ober, check out these splits. 57 batters he's faced over the last month against right-handed batters. A 283 ISO power number, a weighted on base percentage of 388. For the season, 125 right-handed batters, a 254 ISO, and a 354 weighted on base percentage. Look at these numbers. Right-handed batters in the lineup today: Aaron Judge, 88 at bats. This doesn't compute. It doesn't make sense. A 603 ISO power number and a 603 weighted on base percentage. I've never seen statistics that high here. And then you throw in and say, well, what's Giancarlo Stanton been doing? 358 ISO, 412 weighted on base percentage. Get the launch pad going, because today is Dinger Tuesday, and both of those guys, great shots to rock one into the seats tonight. Forget about handicapping the game. Don't look any further. Judge and Stanton. Woo, boy, tonight, watch out.
Great breakdown, DRS. Everything was fantastic there, but what was the crank that Soldier Boy reference?
Crank it, blast the baseballs into the seats. Crank that. Crank it.
Okay.
Boom. Come on now.
That was pretty good. That's pretty.
Yeah.
You know, Superman, that a word we can't say here on this network. 6 starts.
Get yourself in trouble, Ben. Don't get yourself in trouble.
It's like St. John's baseball back in Mike Cardano's day. 6 starts for Luis Gil, by the way, in the month of May. He won all 6. He allowed only 3 earned in those 6 starts in total. The rookie for New York is 7-1 with a 1.99 ERA. I think I'm seeing this correctly. He has a neck tattoo like right here over the Adam's apple for our guy, Luis Gil. Don't call him Lucas. Interesting stuff. We'll preview a game in Arlington, game number 2 of the set between the Tigers and the Rangers, and a few more Major League Baseball thoughts on the other side of the break. Yesterday, a 2-1 final in Arlington between the Tigers and the Rangers, courtesy of the Texas kid, Jake Rogers, the native of Canyon, Texas, back in his home Lone Star State. 2 solo shots for Detroit. They knock off Texas 2-1. Virtual pick'em once again. Yesterday was an actual pick'em with Scooble on the bump for Detroit, Eovaldi on the other side for Texas, minus 108 on both sides. Donnie, now it's minus 110 for Detroit, minus 106 for Texas. A second consecutive pick'em in this Texas tussle. Texas tussle. Who gets the victory?
Detroit baseball. We're going with him again on day number 2. Watch Jack Flaherty here.
Yeah.
Take a look at the walk percentage against him. 118 batters, only 4.2%. Couple that with a 34% strikeout rate. That is absolutely incredible. An ISO power number of 177, which is right about on the margin, but a 291 weighted on base percentage. I like the matchup here for Flaherty going up against that lineup here for the Rangers, who quite frankly, only 3 guys here. And if you can just walk Corey Seager, you should be home here. And the reason why I say that, against right-handed pitching here over the past 30 days, Seager's up there with Aaron Judge. 55 at-bats, a 636 ISO power number, and a weighted on-base percentage of 589. He shouldn't see anything to hit tonight if they are smart. Now, if we flip it over on the other side, Dave Dunning, just your average Major League Baseball pitcher against your average lineup for the Tigers. So I lean towards the Tigers in this game, but we might just be looking at an under when it's all said and done. But we'll roll Detroit again.
Could we see an under at PNC Park in Pittsburgh? Pretty good pitching matchup on paper. The rookie starter for the Pittsburgh Pirates, not Paul Skeens. More than likely he comes tomorrow. Jared Jones on the bump for the Buccos today against the ace for L.A., that being the Dodgers. Tyler Glasnow gets the start. The Dodgers a hefty road favorite, as we would expect them to be. The over-under at 7 and a hook. What do you like tonight in Pittsburgh?
Jared Jones, very good against right-handed batters this season, Ben, particularly over the past 30 days. 54 of those batters he's faced. How about this? 125 ISO power number, 249 weighted on base percentage. But how about this? Flip it over to lefties, it's not the same situation. The right-handed Jones, a 333 ISO and a weighted on base percentage of 483 against those lefties here over the past month. You know who those 2 guys in the lineup that are going to do damage tonight? It's Ohtani and Freeman back-to-back. 73 at-bats and 75 at-bats, respectively, against right-handed pitching over the past month. 254 ISO, 273 ISO, high weighted on base percentages for sure. So it's a high number to take with the Dodgers. I do think they get the job done, but if you just look at the focus here, maybe some RBI props and hitter props here, right between Ohtani and Freeman, they should make some sense for a cash tonight.
Tonight, a Boston battle in Fenway. Total is 8. The Atlanta Braves, a road favorite with Max Fried on the bump, minus 164 in favor of Atlanta. On the other side, it's Cutter Crawford for the Red Sox, the home underdog. What gives tonight in this Boston battle?
I'll tell you what, you take a look at Max Fried here, and this is sort of like a symbolism here for the Atlanta Braves in this 2024 season, at least as of late. Not really doing much damage at the plate, but having some great pitching performances on the mound. Take a look at Fried. Last 133 batters he's faced, ISO power number, 066. Weighted on base percentage, 235. That's spectacular. And also going up against a Red Sox team, I typically like to back with a few guys with RBI props, but they have not hit left-handed pitching all that well over the past month. Ref Snyder, 167 ISO. Rafaela, a 200 ISO. Everybody else is below the Mendoza line here for what you like to look forward to. So I think those Atlanta pitchers will cool those Boston bats down. Cutter Crawford on the other side hasn't pitched very well over the past 30 days. Looking at the last 121 batters he's faced, a 178 ISO, which is slightly above average, but a 344 weighted on base percentage. But the problem, as I keep pointing out, is we haven't had that offensive explosion just yet for the Atlanta Braves, and we're waiting on it here. Ozuna, Olsen, Kelenic do make sense in that lineup, but even with 68-degree temperatures, which isn't that heated up in Boston, and a wind at 7 miles an hour, but really a right to left, we're probably playing this game into an under. But I do like the Atlanta Braves tonight. I think they have the better pitcher on the mound, and I think their lineup should be able to hit Cutter Crawford. We'll go with the Braves.
Saw a great stat on how the Red Sox have been frankly mediocre pretty much at every station of this MLB season. They have been an even 500. That's where the Sox entered tonight, 30-30 after 60 games. These two teams, 2 of the 5 highest under percentages in all of Major League Baseball. Boston under in 56.4% of their games. Atlanta under in more than 60. Despite the Braves playing to some recent overs, and the Sox over in 5 of their last 7 games. Next up on our Major League Baseball countdown on this Tuesday, we go out to the desert, the divisional duel for a second consecutive day. The Diamondbacks win the opener yesterday over the Giants. Now it's minus 116 in favor of Arizona against San Francisco tonight. Total of 9, the desert duel. Who gets a win?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one here because Harrison's not a great pitcher, does struggle a little bit against right-handed batters. We'll get to that in a second. But looking at Blake Walston, the left-handed pitcher, only 37 batters he's faced on the season. ISO 032, weighted on base percentage 291. Not a lot to go off of there. However, against left-handed pitching, the San Francisco Giants have really excelled over the past month. Ramos, 421 ISO power number. Estrada, 333. Chapman, 389. Matos, 286. And Schmidt, 375. That might tell you we might be getting a little bit of offense here for San Francisco, depending on how long Walston goes for. But flip it over to Kyle Harrison, another left-handed pitcher struggling with right-handed batters. There's two guys in this lineup I would take a look at if you're looking at an RBI and or maybe some base prospects here. That's Ketel Marte, 44 at-bats against left-handed pitching over the past month. How about this, Ben? A 475 ISO and a 440 weighted on base percentage. Christian Walker, 250 ISO power number, 335 weighted on base percentage. However, the RBI prop sometimes a little bit tougher for Walker, a 38% strikeout rate against left-handed pitchers. Nothing can be more frustrating when you just need to put the ball in play to get an RBI and they strike out. So the best batter in this lineup and maybe the game, probably Ketel Marte. Look for him to do some damage at the leadoff spot.
We've got a couple of intriguing either interstate or intercity interleague affairs tonight, including one in Florida between the Marlins and the Rays. Quickly here, DRS. Tampa, a road favorite in South Florida against Miami, minus 122. Now the updated number on the money line.
Yeah, again, if you're taking a look at a bad baseball team, which is Miami going up against Pepio, who does have some decent splits against right-handed batters. He's a right-handed pitcher, but the lefties, they're getting to him. A 273 ISO power number and a 347 weighted on base percentage. Some lefties in the lineup tonight that might make sense. Nick Gordon due to bat 6, but more importantly, Janice Chisholm, leadoff batter, 77 bats against right-handed pitching, 247 ISO, 371 weighted on base percentage. He should get some base hits, maybe an RBI, and score some runs tonight.
Another breakdown in Major League Baseball coming your way, and then that best bet from OKC up next. To the north side of Chicago we go for the inner-city showdown between the White Sox and the Cubbies tonight. Shota Imanaga on the bump for the Cubs. When he's on the mound for Chicago, things have often been pretty good, except for last week when we previewed that game for Imanaga. Minus 300 is the number in favor of the Cubs tonight. Why? Well, again, Imanaga gets the start, but the White Sox, the worst team in Major League Baseball, have also lost 11 consecutive games. So what will we see tonight inside the friendly confines?
I got to tell you, Imanaga's been an unbelievable pitcher, but you're right about that. Usually it's like, okay, I'm going to lay 300 on a pitcher that's had 7 straight shutouts here. Not a game where he got absolutely imploded. So now you come onto that mound, maybe a little bit of second thoughts. And you have some pretty good hitters in the lineup tonight for the Chicago White Sox who have done well against lefties over the past month. That's Pham, Jolks, Sheets, and Mendick here. We'll see if they can make a difference. And also, when you're flipping over to the other side, Chris Flexen, who is your average Major League Baseball pitcher here? Okay between lefties, okay between righties here. But for the season, lefties have really gotten the best of them. You take a look at Mike Tauchman to lead off that lineup. Cody Bellinger always pops up here. Ian Happ, who is a switch hitter who will back from the left-hand side tonight. The Cubs are the better team, but that price point is ridiculous. And if you said, Donnie, you had to take one bet on this game that had to be a side, certainly not going to be the Cubs at a minus 300 price. I'll take the dog price on Chicago, but then also keep in mind, at Wrigley Field, some rain in the forecast, but winds blowing out double digits to left field. We possibly could see runs, and that 9, even though Imanaga's been so dominant, maybe a little shaky at that last start. I think we get some runs tonight.
Listen, plus 1.5 for the away team on the run line. There is some sense there. It's plus 118. Sometime that 11-game losing skid has to end for the White Sox. Could it be tonight? A couple of other updates from yesterday around Major League Baseball. The Mets had a lead in the 8th inning and into the 9th that they held on to. Game number 2 tonight in the nation's capital between the Mets and the Nationals. New York, a road favorite at minus 120. We also shared that we were looking at a game yesterday in Anaheim, the Southern California contest between the Angels and the Padres. The Halos take game 1. Tonight, it's a pick'em between San Diego and L.A. Adam Azur gets the start, the former Iowa Hawkeye, the second-round pick for the Pods just a couple of years ago. DRS, anything else you like around Major League Baseball before we get to those best bets?
Now, it looks like a pretty good night across the board. You got some good hitting environments, some good numbers to stack up on a full slate here. So it will be a very fun night in the DRS household, no doubt.